Hello, I'm Yulia. I started van life in 2018 because I wanted to be in nature more. To feel grounded, inspired, peacefully energized, to feel like home. Being next to big tall trees always puts things in perspective. While nature itself is so healing, as a life and wellness coach, I noticed unhealthy practices in nomadic lifestyle. If you are experiencing physical, emotional, or mental health challenges on the road, implementing 7 simple practices I recommend here will make a huge difference for you. Being a van lifer is actually quite heavy on our nervous system, and that leads to you being emotionally unavailable to other people and being unavailable even to your dreams. From mental health perspective, meal planning is amazing because you only make a decision once. Whatever it is that you're carrying, whatever burdens you have a right and you deserve to ask for help. Hello everyone and welcome back. This is part 2 of my video about van life as a lifestyle choice. I have been doing van life since 2018, and although I never did van life full time because it was important for me to have a home base, I have been on extended trips, so 3 or 4 months at a time. And I have seen so many different ways of doing van life. The first thing I want to talk about is lack of routine. And I'm guilty of it myself. When I'm on the road, it's difficult to keep up with the routine. For me, for example, like my morning routine, I'll do yoga and meditation or some sort of stretching. If it's pouring rain or if I have to leave the spot immediately, I literally cannot do my morning routine, or I cannot get into it right away. Being a van lifer is actually quite heavy on our nervous system because our brain is constantly finding itself in the new environment, and so we're scanning this new environment for signs of danger. And even if you are like skilled, experienced van lifer, you know what's up, it consciously you may not be worried at all or stressed. Subconsciously though, your brain and your nervous system are constantly on alert, which means you are in the sympathetic nervous system state. And I honestly feel like what you see with van lifers when they say being on the move gets tiring sometimes, it's not even about errands, and it's not about the ever-changing horizon or landscape, because those things are beautiful. It's really about the state of the nervous system, because you are constantly on. The nervous system is constantly on. Adrenaline is pumping, and yes, it's exciting and stimulating, but at some point, nervous system kind of goes into overdraft because it's constantly working to protect you. Your brain is constantly working. Your subconsciousness is constantly working to protect you. Essentially what happens with your brain when you are in the survival mode, you're mostly in the back of your brain, in the animal brain, amygdala part of your brain. So you are sort of like in this state of, okay, I can be prepared to run or fight. Fight or flight activation can happen anytime. Versus like when you are feeling safe, then that part of the brain can relax, and the rest of your brain really becomes available. So you can be more creative, you can be more relaxed, you can plan and create vision for yourself in the future. You can rest, you can digest. What is the recommendation? Have a very simple morning routine. It could be as simple as you just pour yourself a cup of coffee or tea and close your eyes and take a few deep breaths and maybe put your hands over your heart and set an intention for the day or intention for the trip. And just get grounded in your body. Maybe say a mantra: I am safe. I always find my way to the best place. I am here. I feel loved. I feel protected. Any of those things just that send the signal to the body and to your brain that there's nothing to worry about. In the morning, when you're doing something very predictable, it's the same thing that you're doing every morning. It's essentially telling the body and the mind, the brain, I am safe, everything is okay, everything is normal, it's as predicted. And it sort of sets this tone for the rest of the day that you're fine. Another practice that I observe is eating unhealthy foods and snacking throughout the day and not having consistent meals or not having warm meals. And some van lifers like literally don't have an ability to cook in their van. Maybe they don't have running water or they don't have a good stove top. There's maybe no good fridge, so it's kind of limited. And so people end up either eating out or constantly just snacking throughout the day, maybe chips and salsa, maybe cheese, maybe, nuts. And all of those things are great, especially if you choose a healthier version of snacks. That's fantastic. But our body also does really truly need consistent meals and warm meals too. So like real meal. And it's good for your digestive health. It's really good for your hormonal health. And hormones, again, on the road can be quite out of whack, right? Like you could have a lot of adrenaline, you're so excited, then maybe you have cortisol because you're stressed because you can't find parking for the night and you don't know where you're going to spend the night and it's really frustrating, or maybe the weather sucks, or maybe you just had a fight with your partner and you're in a small space and you don't know how to get out of it. There's a lot of different things that could be happening, but plus not being able to eat on time and eat healthy, consistent, predictable, healthy, organic meals will take a toll on your digestive system and will also mess up your hormones, because hormones really come from food. Like, I don't know if you know that cholesterol, for example, like is one of the building blocks for making hormones. And so you really need food supply, good food supply, healthy fats, all of those things to have all your hormones in check and balance. So my recommendation as a health coach is to have at least 90% of your meals homemade. And whether or not you are in the van, by the way, or at home, in a house, it doesn't matter. 90% is a really good target to have, and make meals that are organic, that are healthy, that are natural, with the good balance of fats and protein. And if you're eating carbs, healthy carbs, especially from veggies, those are really fantastic. Interesting story. Before van life, I used to travel just go on road trips a lot in my Camry. And of course, I would have to stay in hotels or Airbnbs or whatever it is. And if there was no kitchen, like if I stayed in a hotel or a motel, I would bring my Instant Pot, literally, because most of my road trips were out to nature. So I would be staying in small towns in the middle of nowhere. No good restaurants are available. no good stores are around. So I would bring my Instant Pots and I go on a hike, and in the hotel, in the meantime, something is cooking in my Instant Pot. Maybe it's a stew or a soup or potatoes or whatever it is, rice. It would be cooking, and then I would have a nice, warm, healthy meal when I get back to the hotel. Now, having my own kitchen, having my own silverware and dishes and my own food, it just makes such a big difference. And that is actually one of the reasons why I love van life so much, is it provides the opportunity for me to bring the food that I love, and to cook whatever I want anywhere. When I travel in a van, I usually do meal planning. I will have a list of 5 breakfasts, 5 lunches, 5 dinners, and I will go shopping. I'll buy all the ingredients. If I can pre-make some of it, so say if I'm in the campground where there's water and extra electricity, or maybe I'm at home still, I haven't left, I will pre-make some of the ingredients. So like pre-cooked quinoa or eggs or potatoes. From mental health perspective, meal planning is amazing because you only make a decision once. You spent whatever it is, 30 minutes, an hour planning it. You went and bought all your ingredients. They're in your fridge. That's it. And when, dinner comes, you have 5 choices. If, for example, at the end of the day, you're really tired, you just worked all day or you hiked all day and you're just exhausted, physically, mentally exhausted, and you're trying to make a decision what to eat, this is when a lot of couples will get into fights, because one person at least, typically, or both, will have some sort of we'll call it tummy talk, but really what it is like, you're just so exhausted, you cannot make a decision about what to eat, or you don't have the energy to prepare something. First, you need to have the energy to make a decision, then you need the energy to prepare it. Try this, trust me, because you're gonna notice so much space. So much space becomes available in your brain and in your body because you made a decision before and you don't have to do it again. You don't have to buffer, especially when you're tired. Oh my gosh, I'm getting distracted because there's a huge, most beautiful butterfly. Oh my goodness, look how beautiful it is. Wow. Thank you for visiting. That was so magical. Wow. That was one of the biggest butterflies that I've seen. Well, around here, I've seen bigger butterflies in the tropics. I want to talk about something that's a big topic, which is roaming without an intention. I have observed quite a lot of people on the road sort of escaping things or being in denial of things. Maybe they've had some challenging things happen in life, or trauma, difficult relationships with family or with loved ones, and some unprocessed feelings. And it's absolutely true that we need some time to heal. We need time to just sort of be, especially when something heavy happens in life and we don't really know how to process that trauma or that event. And sometimes we just need space. Sooner or later, you need to set an intention. Start processing or start addressing whatever it is that you've been escaping from or running away from. Without it, you're essentially emotionally unavailable to yourself. And that leads to you being emotionally unavailable to other people and being unavailable even to your dreams. Because in order to set dreams or in order to set intentions, you have to know truly, deeply who you are. So, my recommendation is to work with a therapist and with a coach. I've worked with both for a long time, just rotating, every other week I see a coach or a therapist. And it's been so instrumental and so grounding in processing a lot of things and really setting the foundation and the vision for where I'm going. If you're feeling maybe you're scared, or maybe you're angry with someone, maybe there was some dark, difficult events that happened in the past, maybe abuse or maybe challenges in the family, whatever it is that you're carrying, whatever burdens you have a right and you deserve to ask for help. One thing that I've learned, and I've always been a DIY kind of person. Like, I will learn everything, I can do anything, I am smart enough to figure things out. But when it comes to mental health, one thing that I've learned, and this is a fairly recent learning, I'd say in the last 3 or 4 years that I learned this, is that with this, I need help. Because there's so many things that I can't see from where I'm sitting. Like, I cannot see the whole big picture when I'm in it. I cannot see the effects of trauma on me when I'm still experiencing that trauma. I don't know what normal is or how it can be otherwise. Like, my body doesn't even know what, for example, safe feels like. Living in uncertainty and living in denial eventually takes a toll. It takes a toll, and then you feel just so unaccomplished and lost and maybe depressed, anxious. There are a lot of these feelings that confused that just keep coming up and keep coming up. And I think that you can have so much spaciousness, you can give so much love to yourself by really becoming available to yourself to really look at things. The other thing is, when you are on the road, to really set intentions. Mindful living is so much more meaningful. And I really like setting intentions that are like overall intentions and more specific goals or intentions. So, as an example, I just did a trip to Big Sur, California. And my overall intention was to get grounded and to fill my cup with the healing powers of nature. For me, if I'm away from nature for a long time, I'm really off balance. It's not good for me. And then I had 3 specific intentions. The first one is I wanted to spend time with big trees. The other one was I wanted to walk or hike at least 4 miles every day. And this was a 1-week trip, right? And then the third one is I wanted to record content that I could post on YouTube, some creative flow. I wanted to be in the creative flow. And notice how these intentions were specific, but at the same time, they're not overly specific. So like, I just said I want to spend time with big trees. What my dream was to actually stay in one of my favorite campgrounds with redwood trees. But I didn't want to set it as a goal because I knew uncertainty could happen. I knew that I may not get a campsite there. I didn't want to be too attached to that specific goal and then feel like I failed it, or I had no way of achieving it. It was outside of my control. And of course, that's going to happen with your goals, but I've set goals in a specific yet flexible way to allow myself to approach it creatively. Having the overall intention provides this context for you. Like, is this trip about work or about being creative and recording content, or is it about hiking as much as possible, being in nature or camping, or is it about food perhaps, or it's about doing sightseeing or connecting with local people or supporting local businesses? You can sort of discern that for yourself, and then instead of going in so many different directions and feeling like you haven't had enough time for everything, all these busy experiences that you're trying to have, because all of us are trying to overbook ourselves and our schedules, then you're really focused and very intentional in the way that you are living that day or living that trip. Okay, some of you who know me personally are probably gonna laugh about this, but I could not mention this in this episode. What I'm talking about is EMF exposure and radiation. People don't think about radiation in a van and end up, having, for example, Starlink or WeBoost that essentially turns your van into a giant antenna, and you're surrounded by, Bluetooth and Wi-Fi and all these different signals that are happening, right? Plus your battery, your inverter have electromagnetic radiation, the wiring, everything. There's actually a book called The Body Electric that talks about how body is electromagnetic as well, and it has all these processes, right? Like our heart with every pump creates this electromagnetic field. When you are around electromagnetic fields, other electromagnetic fields, specifically with technology, there are different waves, different wavelengths that are disrupting the natural rhythm of your body. And it can be very detrimental, especially when you sleep, because that's when your body is most fragile. It's resting. It's trying to repair itself. Your brain is working on filing away memories and doing all this work in the background. And if you are not in the safe space, if there is a lot of disruption going on, it's sort of like glitches in the system. My recommendation is, I have my electrical right here. I put it as far away as I possibly could from my bed. It's not possible to completely fully remove it, because obviously this is a tiny space. Like at home, I have my Wi-Fi router and modem in the downstairs away from my bedroom, and I also turn it off at night. So here I would say, you need to move your electrical stuff as far away from bed as possible. And if you're already in the van and it's not possible to remove, maybe build some sort of Faraday cage, or at least, sleep with your head in a different direction, not directly above your batteries or above your inverter. Obviously, turn off your inverter, turn off your Wi-Fi, turn off your WeBoost and satellite and everything at night. I also want to talk about EMF exposure from working on a laptop on your lap. Please don't do that as a constant practice. I've seen people on the road that work from the road, but they don't have a designated spot in the van, no table, no specific place, and so they kind of end up sitting in bed or laying in bed, or sitting in a camp chair and working on their lap. It's extremely bad for your reproductive system, for your digestive system. It's carcinogenic. You also are affecting your physical posture. So your spine might, your back might be messed up. And I've met some people who messed up their back because they're constantly working on the lap in the bed. But when your posture is like when you're slouchy working in the bed like this, it's affecting your chest, your lungs, your digestive system is constricted, so you may have digestive problems and blockages. When we are constricted like this in our body, so essentially just like sitting and slouching like that, it's associated in our bodies with kind of feeling small and fear, because like when you're afraid, this is what you typically would do, right? Like you try to get smaller or maybe protect your head. How it affects your mental health is that over time, when you're constantly in this physical shape of like I surrender sort of, or I look smaller, then mentally you start feeling that, or emotionally you start experiencing that. Maybe doing like a tree pose, or like a Superman, Superwoman kind of pose, like where you really open up your shoulders, open your eyes. Okay, that was a lot. This is not meant as a criticism of anyone or anything. It's just my observations as a life coach, and hopefully you found some of my recommendations and suggestions helpful, because I really want you to succeed in your life. I want you to feel fulfilled. I want you, if you feel lost, I want you to find yourself. I want you to know that you deserve all the best things that you're dreaming of, that the version of you that you have in your dreams, that version is available. If anything that I mentioned here resonates with you and you feel like you would want to work with me as a coach, I offer free call, so you can get coached. It's 20 minutes and you can get coached on a question or a subject or maybe a dilemma that you're facing right now, and we can talk through it, and then you can make a decision if maybe working in the program would work best. I typically work with my clients in a 3 or 6 months program, just because making changes in life takes time. It's not going to happen overnight. You're not going to unlearn your habits or rewrite, your beliefs overnight, especially if you've done that for decades of your life, right? So it takes practice, it takes time, it takes experimentation and open-mindedness and mindfulness. And so those are some of the practices that I teach my clients. And I'm mostly passionate about life design and self-discovery. So really diving into who you are, so you can then set goals and intentions from that place, from the place of authentic you versus like what your parents told you to do, or what social media is trending about, or where you're gonna make the most money. I'm sending you so much love, and I appreciate your watching this video, especially if you made it this far. And I appreciate comments. If you have comments, suggestions, questions, please put them as comments in the video. Always very happy when I see people that are engaged and mindful. Have a great day.